So, I spent last night reading through this stack of reports on what they're calling the digital practice for 2026. And I have to be honest with you, it
Wow.
it felt less like reading legal analysis and more like the script for a season of Black Mirror. We've
Mhm.
got voice cloning, silent extortion, AI-driven espionage. I mean, it's just intense.
It really does feel that way sometimes. The pace of change has been, well, breathless.
But the scary thing is, this isn't sci-fi. We're not talking about a movie plot. This is, your average Tuesday at a modern law firm. And what jumped out at me immediately isn't just the tech, it's the sheer scale of the target painted on the back of the legal profession right now.
It's massive, and
Yeah.
you have to appreciate the context here. I mean, 10, maybe 15 years ago, cybersecurity was something banks worried about.
Right, or the Pentagon.
Exactly.
Right.
Law firms. As long as the physical file room was locked and the shredder was working, you were pretty much good to go.
And now,
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at data here from the UK Solicitors Regulation Authority, the SRA. In 2025 alone, they fielded over 2,300 reports of data breaches and cybersecurity incidents.
Well,
And this next stat actually made me put my coffee down. Nearly 75% of the UK's top 100 firms have been hit.
three-quarters. Think about that saturation. In any other industry, that would be considered a catastrophic failure of infrastructure.
It just begs the question, why? I mean, obviously, banks have the actual vaults full of money, tech companies have the patents. Why are hackers suddenly so obsessed with lawyers?
Well, part of it is that they're seen as easy targets.
Yeah.
That's certainly part of it. But it's more about what they're holding. You have to stop thinking of a law firm as just a service provider and start thinking of it as a warehouse.
A warehouse for secrets.
A centralized warehouse for everyone else's deepest, darkest secrets. We call it a honeypot in the
It's been a
industry.
pot. Okay.
Think about the density of that data. A top-tier firm might be holding intelligence on an unannounced merger or acquisition. If a hacker gets that data before the market does, that's not just information. That's insider trading gold.
That makes so much sense. If I hack a retailer, maybe I get some credit card numbers, which are worth what? A few bucks on the dark web.
Pennies, usually. But if you hack the firm handling a massive tech merger,
You own the market.
precisely, you can short the stock, you can sell the intel to a competitor. The value density of the data in a law firm is it's significantly higher than almost anywhere else.
And then there's the actual cash, right? The notes call law firms financial gatekeepers, which sounds fancy, but what does it actually mean in practice?
It means they're moving massive amounts of liquidity. Think about a real estate closing. You've got the buyer, the seller, the bank. Who's sitting in the middle holding the funds in escrow?
The lawyers.
And we're talking millions, sometimes billions of dollars moving in single transactions. Which brings us to invoice fraud.
This is the one that seems so simple, yet it works. All the time.
It's the classic play. An attacker hacks an email account, maybe a junior associate, maybe a partner. They don't do anything at first, they just watch. They wait for a deal to reach its climax. Then at the last second, they send an email from the partner saying, "Oh, slight change of plans. We had an issue with the bank. Please wire the funds to this new account number."
And because it's the closing and everyone is stressed and the client just wants the keys to the building.
The money is gone. By the time anyone realizes the account belongs to a shell company in a non-extradition country, the trail is cold.
That stress factor you mentioned is interesting. The research calls leverage a specific vulnerability for lawyers. It's not just what they have, it's when they need it.
This is the psychological aspect of the attack, and honestly, it's the most diabolical part. Cybercriminals are smart. They understand the legal calendar. They know that if a firm has a court filing deadline tomorrow, or a deal closing at 5:00 p.m. today, that firm cannot afford to be locked out of their system.
They weaponize the deadline.
They absolutely do. If you lock up a firm's files the morning of a massive trial, the partners aren't going to sit around debating the ethics of paying a ransom. They're going to pay it. They have a fiduciary duty to their client to show up in court, and they can't do that without their files.
It's just brutal efficiency. And it seems like the perception of law firms, especially the mid-sized ones, is that they're basically soft targets compared to the big banks.
We call it the low defense perception. Banks have spent 30 years building digital fortresses. They have armies of security engineers. But a mid-sized law firm, they might still be running on legacy architecture. They might view IT as a cost center, something you pay for to fix the printer, rather than a defense department. To a hacker, that looks like an open door with a welcome mat on it.
So we've established they are walking targets with deep pockets and weak locks. Okay, now let's talk about the weapons, because this part of the research genuinely creeped me out. We aren't talking about a poorly spelled email from a prince anymore.
No. The toolkit has evolved, and the driving force, as with everything else in 2026, is AI.
We keep hearing about AI helping lawyers, drafting contracts, summarizing case law.
Right, doing the grunt work. But here, AI is the enemy. It's an arms race. Look at phishing. It used to be easy to spot bad grammar, weird spelling, generic greetings like "Dear Customer."
Right, the click here to verify your account, stuff that looks totally fake.
But now, we have spear phishing, powered by generative AI. An attacker can scrape a lawyer's LinkedIn, read their public posts, understand their case history, and generate an email that sounds exactly like a client or a partner.
So it's context aware.
Completely. It'll reference specific case numbers. It will mimic the tone of voice. If the partner usually signs off with best, the AI will sign off with best. The tells are gone.
That the emails are one thing. The source material brings up something that feels straight out of a spy movie. Deepfakes. Specifically, phishing.
Voice phishing. This is the new frontier, and it is causing absolute chaos.
Okay, explain this to me, because I think most people still assume they can trust their ears. If I hear your voice, I assume it's you.
You can't, not anymore. All an attacker needs is a few seconds of audio of a person speaking, which, for a high-profile lawyer, is incredibly easy to find. Maybe they have a podcast.
Or they argued a case in court that was recorded, or were on a panel on YouTube.
Exactly. They feed that audio into an AI, and they can clone the voice. They can type text it into a program, and it speaks it in that person's voice.
So paint the picture for me. I'm a junior associate. My phone rings. I pick it up, and it's the managing partner.
Sounds like him. It has his cadence. It has his slight stumble when he's rushing. And he says, "I'm stuck in a meeting with the client. I need you to authorize this wire transfer immediately. Don't wait for me to get back. Just get it done."
And I'm the junior associate. I'm terrified of this guy. I'm not going to say, "Prove it's you."
You're not. You're going to say, "Yes, sir," and you're going to wire the money. They exploit the hierarchy. The combination of the deepfake technology and the inherent pressure of the law firm structure is devastating.
That makes credential theft sound almost quaint by comparison, doesn't it? But the notes say that's still the main way they get in.
It is. Why pick the lock when you can just steal the key? Phishing campaigns often just want your login. And this is why the sources are screaming about MFA multi-factor authentication.
The little code on your phone.
It's the difference between a locked door and a deadbolt. If you don't have MFA, a stolen password is game over. The attacker walks right in. If you do have MFA, the attacker has the password, but they can't get past that second challenge. It stops the vast majority of these attacks cold.
Okay, so let's say the worst happens. They get in. Maybe they tricked the associate with the deepfake, or someone reused their Netflix password. In the old days, we'd see a red screen, "Pay us Bitcoin," or "Say goodbye to your computer." But the deep dive says that's old news. Now it's silent extortion.
This is the dwell time issue. In the past, ransomware was noisy. It was a smash and grab. Now it's a stealth mission. Attackers might be inside a firm's network for weeks or even months.
Just watching.
Watching, learning, and stealing. We call it exfiltration. They are quietly downloading terabytes of sensitive data client files, emails, financial records, before they ever trigger the encryption.
That completely changes the game for backups, doesn't it? Because I always thought, who cares if they lock my computer? I'll just restore from the backup.
And that's the trap. You can restore your systems, you can wipe the computers and start fresh, you can have the firm up and running in an hour, but you can't restore privacy.
Because they still have the files.
The attackers will say, "Sure, you have your files back, but we have them too. And if you don't pay us, we're going to email your client's trade secrets to their biggest competitor. Or we're going to publish your internal emails about that embarrassing settlement."
That's the double extortion.
Exactly. Strike one, we lock your operations. Strike two, we ruin your reputation. And that second strike brings in the regulators, the lawsuits, the GDPR fines. It's a nightmare.
It sounds almost industrialized. I mean, the report mentions ransomware as a service, which that sounds like a legitimate software business model.
It effectively is. It's the franchise model applied to crime. You have the developers, who are the tech geniuses. They write the malicious code, and then they lease it out to affiliates who might not be technical at all to conduct the attacks.
So you don't even need to be a coder to be a hacker anymore. You just need to be a franchisee.
It has lowered the barrier to entry significantly. The developers take a cut, the affiliate takes a cut. That's why we saw a 126% surge in incidents in early 2025. It's a booming economy.
And it's not just the firms themselves, is it? It's who they work with, the supply chain risk.
Right. Law firms don't exist in a vacuum. They rely on a massive ecosystem of vendors e-discovery, case management software, cloud storage providers.
So if I'm a hacker, why spend months trying to break into a hardened top-tier law firm when I can just hack their e-discovery vendor who has terrible security?
Exactly. And that one vendor might hold data for 50 different law firms as a force multiplier for the attacker. In 2025, something like 30% of breaches came through these third parties. You were only as strong as your weakest vendor.
Which is a scary thought, but maybe not as scary as the call coming from inside the house, the insider threat. The notes say nearly half of breaches involve insiders. That seems incredibly high.
It's the statistic nobody likes to talk about. Now, to be fair, a lot of this is accidental.
The fat finger error.
Right. Sending a confidential settlement offer to Jane Doe, the reporter, instead of Jane Doe, the co-counsel, or failing to redact a PDF properly so the hidden text is still there.
Simple human error, but with potentially career-ending consequences.
But then you have the malicious side, the bad lever.
Sounds like a bad breakup.
In a way it is. An attorney who is jumping ship to a competitor and decides to download their entire client list and case history to a USB drive on the way out.
Taking the book of business literally.
Exactly. And because they have legitimate access rights, it's very hard for security systems to spot the difference between working late and stealing data.
So the threat is everywhere, outside, inside, up in the cloud. What happens when the bomb finally goes off? We talked about money, but the SRA and the ABA seem to be taking a much harder line these days.
Oh yeah. The landscape has shifted from financial loss to existential threat. We are talking about losing the license to practice law.
The regulators are actually shutting firms down.
They are. The SRA intervened in 47 practices in 2024 and 2025, specifically citing IT security failures. When the regulator intervenes, they don't just fine you, they come in, seize the files, freeze the accounts. The firm is effectively dead.
47 firms, gone. That's not a slap on the wrist, that's a death sentence for the business.
And for those who survive the regulator, there's the insurance trap.
I imagine premiums are skyrocketing, but is there more to it than that?
It's worse than the cost. It's insurance invalidation. Firms pay for cyber insurance thinking it's a safety net.
Yeah.
But the policies now have incredibly strict requirements. You must have MFA on every single endpoint. You must have documented training logs.
So you get hacked, you call the insurance company, and they send an investigator.
And if that investigator finds one partner who disabled MFA because it was annoying, or one server that wasn't patched, the claim is denied. You paid the premium, but you get zero payout.
That is a harsh reality check.
And then come the lawsuits. Negligence claims, failing to protect client funds. It's a cascade of liability. The SRA and the ABA are now defining reasonable cybersecurity as an ethical obligation. It's part of your duty of competence. If you aren't secure, you aren't being ethical.
That's a powerful reframing. It's not an IT problem, it's an ethics problem.
That's the core message here. It is no longer acceptable to say, I'm not a tech person.
Yeah.
If you're a lawyer in 2026, you have to be a tech person, at least enough to protect your client.
So bringing this all together for our listeners, we're in 2026. The digital practice is here to stay. We aren't going back to typewriters, but it feels like we are walking a tightrope.
We are. The synthesis of all this data is that defense can no longer be passive. You can't just install antivirus and forget about it. Defense must be active, comprehensive, and cultural.
Cultural.
It means the senior partner needs to care as much about security as the IT guy. It means creating an environment where if an associate clicks a bad link, they report it immediately instead of hiding it out of fear.
Because speed is everything in containment.
Speed is survival. If you catch it in 10 minutes, it's an incident. If you catch it in 10 days, it's a disaster.
It really all comes down to protecting trust, doesn't it?
Trust is the currency of the legal profession. Without confidentiality, without the assurance that the money is safe, the entire system just collapses.
Heavy stuff,
Exactly.
but necessary. Before we wrap up, I want to throw a curveball at you. Something that occurred to me while we were discussing the deepfakes.
Go for it.
If the attack surface is the price we pay for all this digital efficiency, and if AI can now fake a voice, fake a video, fake a document perfectly, are we approaching a tipping point?
In what sense?
Are we going to reach a point where digital communication in law is simply no longer trusted, where the risk is just too high? Are we going to see a return to, I can't authorize this multi-million-dollar merger until I see your face in my office shaking my hand?
That is a fascinating thought, the analog premium.
Exactly. If you can't trust the phone and you can't trust the email,
Yeah.
you have to trust the person in the room.
It's possible. When digital trust erodes completely,
Physical verification becomes the only gold standard. We might see high-stakes law go retro.
Something to chew on the next time you get an urgent email from the boss asking for a wire transfer. Take a beat, verify it, and turn on your MFA.
That's it for this deep dive. Stay safe out there.